what are neo-Darwinian paleontologists now saying about what they're going to do?
Well, I think we should just talk about paleontologists and Cambrian paleontologists, because I think increasingly many paleontologists are not necessarily committed to neo-Darwinism because it has so many problems. They're committed to some form of evolutionary theory typically, but now many leading paleontologists, certainly in China, but also leading American paleontologists, are saying that whatever we make of the Cambrian explosion, however we attempt to explain it, we have to start from the premise that this is a real event. It's not an artifact of incomplete sampling. It's not an artifact of incomplete preservation. It's a real event, and it has to be reckoned with. And some of the leading Chinese paleontologists, J.Y. Chen has been very outspoken in making this point. There's a major book on the Cambrian explosion that came out in 2013 by Doug Irwin of the Smithsonian Institution and James Valentine, who was shown in that previous clip from the University of California, Berkeley, in which they make this same point. The Cambrian is a real event. We may not have a good explanation for it, but we've got to reckon on the event as something that really happened. It's not just something that is a kind of illusion from our not being able to see what happened in the lower strata. We now have good reason to think that the lower strata, or the depositional environment in the Pre-Cambrian, was capable of preserving even small and soft organisms, and therefore the absence of the ancestral forms of the larger organisms with hard parts should certainly have been there if those animals existed, if those precursors existed. That they weren't preserved is best explained by the supposition that they weren't there.
Yeah. What does this do to the neo-Darwinian theory?
Well, it certainly, again, challenges the neo-Darwinian picture of the history of life. The first complex forms of animal life seem to arise very abruptly, and it also challenges the idea that the neo-Darwinian mechanism was the mechanism by which these complex forms of life arose, because that mechanism requires a vast amount of time, and it should have left behind a vast number of failed experiments, if you will. It's a trial and error mechanism where you get lots of different variations arising, different mutational changes arising. So we ought to see the evidence of all those failed trials in the lower strata, and they're not there. So it raises questions both about the pattern, the picture of the history of life that Darwin proposed, but also it raises questions about whether the mechanism of natural selection and random mutation is really what was at work in producing these first complex forms of animal life.